I hated looking in the mirror. The slightest chance of catching a glimpse of my reflection was something I worked hard at avoiding. It's not because I disliked my face, I just had difficulty accepting it. The standards of beauty varies across the globe, but for some reason nothing on my face was making the list. My double eyelids, my big nose, my small ears, and my huge lips were all seen as unattractive somewhere around the world. Then one day I accidentally caught a glimpse. I saw the winsome of my delicately crafted face. I was in awe of the charm that it carried. It was alluring, absolutely captivating. For the first time I could see pretty. I became aesthetically pleasing. I painted my face. I turned the canvas that I was given into art. Beauty is everywhere. Standards do not matter. Magazines, television, any sort of media that tries to tell you that you are not good enough is simply white noise. Look into the mirror and say, you are beautiful. Because no one else is going to say it for you.
Welcome back to another episode of Sunday Self-Love with me and Zamar. Today we're talking to Magda about reclaiming and redefining beauty through art. So, you want to tell us a little bit about your art process and like what kind of art you actually do?
I'm still like figuring out what I want to focus on artistically, but right now I'm doing poetry, photography, painting, and acting. Those are like my four forms of art. My process, especially as being like a Black girl, I like storytelling. It's like Black experience. With my photography, I want to like photograph Black people. Like I make that a priority when it comes to creating, because I know that message, that perspective is really, it's not, I don't think it's lacking. I just feel like it's just not getting enough attention sometimes.
Yeah. Well, what really got me to being like, I really want to have a conversation with you is the video that I saw that you made. It was very short, but very powerful. And in watching it, I was like, this is everything and more. For me, it was very soul feeding. So I'm curious, like, what was the process? Like, what brought you to that moment of being like, I'm going to put this together and I want to then share this?
Okay. I wrote that poem last year when I came back from India. And I gained like maybe 50 pounds from that trip. And my mom was like, kept bothering me about my weight. And I think like I was that's why she's in the video as well, because I wanted her to understand that I'm bigger, but doesn't mean that I'm not beautiful. Like so it doesn't matter what size I am. And then I kind of remembered all those feelings when I was younger about how none of the things on my face or my body I was comfortable with. And there's a line in my poem where I say something about it wasn't until I painted my face I realized how beautiful it was. Yeah, so it was like, because also that's inspired by, I did a painting of my like a nude portrait of myself, and I just looking at it, I could see the beauty in it. But like when I looked in the mirror before, I was always judgmental. Like, oh my god, why am I so much bigger? I'd look at old photos and I'm like, oh, I was skinnier then. But like it just, through art, I was able to see the beauty. Because, for example, when it comes to photography, like I just take pictures of my family members when I went to Peru. And I could just, like, each of them, like, had such a beautiful story. Like, some were old, some were, like, only 3-4 years old. And I could just see myself that we're connected, like, we have the same eyebrows because we're related. And I'm just, like, grateful for each part of my body. So that's why in the poem, like, I'm very specific in talking about those things. Yeah.
I'm thinking about the piece you talked about, like, painting your face, because I guess I can really relate to that. For me, when it comes to makeup, I think that there's this idea around makeup that like makeup is only about like vanity, and like, which is nothing wrong with vanity, but like there's this concept of like it's a way to cover up, but had a very similar experience. When I started to wear makeup, I started to like pay more attention to myself and to my features. And in paying more attention, I started to find more beautiful things, because I was also like that, where I'd look in the mirror and I would pick out all the things that I didn't like. And it was a time that I started to spend with myself in that like, what felt like a very meditative process in doing my makeup, that I started being like, oh, I really like the way that my eyebrows do this thing, or I really like the curve of my eye in this way. And then starting to find these little like details that I feel like, in comparing myself to like what beauty standards were out there, I would miss out on like the very nuanced ways that like I was uniquely beautiful in the way that I am beautiful, you know?
Yeah.
I'm curious from you, like, what are some of the things that you do in your everyday life to maintain the momentum of feeling beautiful?
Like for me, like beauty, like even if like, for example, I didn't have a face, like it's not really about that. For me, it's more of like the fact, like when we were looking, like when I was looking in the mirror when I was younger and saying all these negative things, it's kind of like just erasing the negative and just focusing on the positive. Right now I'm volunteering at like a elementary school in Regent Park, and every morning I go there and I hang out with those kids, and like that feels beautiful to me. Just helping other people within my community, like that's it. Like so for example, if I'm like walking and I see like a mother and her child, like I see that's beautiful. Like just being here, living and sharing my experience with other humans. That's, I feel like, yeah, because like
finding the beauty in existing.
Exactly.
Okay. And when you're having difficult days, when you're not feeling really beautiful, what are certain tools or whatever it is for you that you know you can always go back to that help you with that?
That's hard. I feel like either it's through writing, like I just write down what I'm feeling, so that can help me like process why I'm feeling that way. Sometimes, it's just like sketching in my sketchbook. Like self-portraits, like that helps me a lot. Like when I think of like Frida, like because I'm Latin, and she's Mexican, right? So I don't know. Like I just feel like that parallel, and just seeing how she just found herself to be her own muse, that helps a lot too. Because now sometimes I just look in the mirror and I just feel like I'm like, oh, I'm so pretty. Like I don't really have many more of those days where I'm looking in the mirror and I don't like what I see. But the only tool that I have is like just writing it down. If it's specifically with your face or with your body, like just draw what that image is. And just look at it, because I feel like putting it on paper, it's like you're seeing it, you're seeing your body, you're seeing your face, seeing everything as art, because that's what you are, you're art. Because I believe like I'm not very spiritual, but I know that something created me, and they were thinking about it, and our bodies are so intricate. There's no way that I have my body is not a piece of art. Like that's how I see it. And even if I'm like skinnier or bigger, like I noticed when I got bigger, like I could see my curves more. Or and when I was skinnier, I could see like my cheekbones more. So just there's good in everything.
I love the idea of that. I like thinking about the relationship between like our existence and art, and that in our existence we are art. Around, like specifically around seeing it as like being created very on purpose. I feel like that for me personally was a big part of like learning to see myself as beautiful, because there was definitely a moment that I went through in life from a very intentional transition of when I was like not loving myself to learning how to love myself. And I remember that in between, that also helped me, is like starting to see myself as very on purpose in the ways that I was created and not being an accident. I'm curious for you, do you recall for yourself that like transition moment of like, because you're saying you don't have very many days like that anymore where you don't feel beautiful. Do you remember the transition of like, I guess that in between messy middle point of like moving from like not feeling beautiful to feeling beautiful? Like what was the middle point like, and like how did you get through that point?
So it all started when I shaved my head, and that was because I did feel really ugly when I was in high school, and so I grew it out. I learned how to braid it, to do different designs. Like my mom didn't know how to do cornrows. I learned how to do that by myself, and that's when I started like gaining sort of like an independence. And then I got into theater, and that's when I started getting creative. But then all the stories that we were telling was like white people stories. Mm-hmm. And so then I started getting frustrated, and that's when I realized, but it took me until like grade 12 to realize like I need to start creating stuff specifically for me, and not just for the white dominance within my environment at the time. So when I got to university, that's when I started painting and writing and like sharing it on YouTube and stuff like that. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. I'm wondering more about how you got through that point. I'm thinking about emotionally, like what was, I guess, like what brought you to art? Like what brought you to the point where you're feeling more confident as an artist, feeling more confident as a person, like feeling more confident in your beauty? Like how did you get to that point? Because I feel like for those of us who have struggled to love ourselves and not felt beautiful, and then have gone through the process and then now feel great about ourselves, you know, more times than not, I feel like it's a real blessing to be in this place. But I'm always wondering from different folks, like how did they get here? Like how did you specifically get to this point when it was really hard, when it was really messy, when it was really difficult? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. And it's kind of hard maybe because I don't remember it that well, but I think it kind of starts with forgiving those who made you feel that way. Because I remember in elementary school, I had a teacher who said that I had evil eyes. Just because I was like, okay.
Look, you racist?
Yeah, that's pretty. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, it's just like other girls on the playground saying how my skinny jeans didn't fit me right, or just knowing that I was different, but I didn't know at the time that the difference made me unique, and that uniqueness is beautiful. But I forgive those people because I'm not like saying, oh, it's okay to be racist or it's okay to put other people down. Like, no, that's not okay. But if I keep holding, the reason why I kept, I feel like I was feeling so bad about myself was because those triggers of like remembering those things. Like I remember one day I would just like a lot during high school, I was like just cry to my mom saying, oh my god, I can't believe they did that to me. They said that and this, and that's why I feel this way. And my mom just like, Magda, that's in the past. Like acknowledge that, but you have to realize those people do not define you. You have to define yourself. So I think that's why, I think that's like the struggle that I had, was letting go of that. Yeah, because there's like I have so many, like, I think so many things has happened to me where people who I respected, who were like my teachers or just friends, would just say things, and I just kept like I held on to it. And I didn't learn to defend myself. I didn't speak back to them, and so like now I feel like through my art I'm able to like share, like it's like talking back to them, but like in a positive way. And so yeah, that's, I feel like, what it was. That was like the difficult, trying to get rid of the negative energy and try to focus on the positive.
That makes a lot of sense. I could see that. I feel like forgiveness for me also has been a part of my process. Also for me, I think that part of my process was learning to forgive myself. Like forgiving myself for the moments I didn't say anything, forgiving myself for the moments I wasn't the kindest to myself and to my body. So I do feel like forgiveness is definitely a big component. I'm wondering from you now, at this point, where you're creating art, particularly around the Black experience, particularly around beauty, like what goes into your art creation process? Like, because you're talking about paintings and also theater, so you're doing it in all these different facets and different mediums. But what would you say is something that is a common thread throughout your process?
A common thread is, I feel like everything that I create, it's coming from a specific truth, and that if I'm creating with other people, I'm like, there's always the intention of making sure that they're racialized as well. Yeah. So like for the photography project that I did when I went to Peru, I brought my camera with me, and I just took pictures of as many family members who were like okay with me doing it. And I didn't know how the pictures were gonna come out, but like that's like my most saved picture on Instagram is those. Yeah, I haven't like developed it yet, but like I want to like find other Afro, what's the term? Just like I'm very interested in, because I have like family members who live in Japan, who live in the United States, like just because of the African diaspora, like there's Black people everywhere, all around the world, and I feel like so many people are just so ignorant to that. So when I say like I speak Spanish, they're like, what? Why? That doesn't make sense. And I'm like, I'm Peruvian. They just like, yeah, but where are you really from? Like I always get that question. And a girl wrote to me on Instagram the other day, and she's Afro-Portuguese. And she said that she talks on the phone in Portuguese, and people ask her the same question. So just knowing that what I'm creating is relating to other people that has similar experiences as me, like that's the goal, I feel like, with everything that I create.
I'm curious to hear more about that. Like, what is your experience of beauty and identity specifically from an Afro-Latina context? Because I feel like that's a story that we are starting to hear more about, but it's still not as widely spoken about. Like, I'm gonna speak up to my ignorance. It wasn't until university that I even really started to like meet folks who are Afro-Latina and like actually have conversations and be like, oh, like the diversity of like the African diaspora, you know? And so like I was really late to that. So I'm curious for you, like what has your experiences been, and like how has it impacted your understanding of like your identity and beauty?
Okay, so with being like Afro-Latina, it's very like, because one thing is like in the Hispanic community, you don't belong. And in the Black community, you don't really belong either. Because with the Spanish, like people, they like, yeah, we all speak Spanish, we all eat the same food, we all listen to the same music, but there's still this separation of like, oh, you're lower than us because you're Black. Like right now in Colombia, there's a big like there's a hashtag going around. I don't know what it is, but there's like a big problem where there's a very like all of the Blacks are like pretty much pushed into like the ghetto, and like there are kids who are starving. Like the government, no one cares about them. And I was just watching this very passionate video on the internet the other day, and I was just like, I was crying because like it's just like if I'm just walking in Peru with my family. One time I have this specific story I remember. I was on the bus, and my aunt asked me, like, I was sitting down and she was standing because there was no more space. and then the bus did like this abrupt stop, and this man fell on her, and then she caught him, and he's like, "Get off of me!" Like in Spanish, he's called it the N-word. And then luckily, like everyone on the bus was like mad at him for saying that, but like that just shows like there's still this, you shouldn't be here. When we didn't want, like, black people are here because we were forced here. We didn't want to come, but now we're here, and this is our culture too now. And so in Canada, where I was finally like kind of exposed to the black community, still like my food was not the same food that they were eating. The way I dance is not the same way that they dance. So like we're connected because we're both black, but our experiences culturally is not exactly like the same. So that's what I feel like sometimes when I'm being Afro-Latina. Yeah.
And how has that impacted your own understanding of beauty for yourself?
I feel like beauty-wise, I just see just the product of who I am is history, and it represents the story of my people, and so I have the responsibility of sharing that. And I think I see that as beautiful, having that opportunity to express that, to share that, because a lot of the time, like a lot of people in my family deny that they're black, even though that they are. It's like I'm always shocked by it. I'm like, do you not see like the color of your children? Like we're all, but they're like, no, we're not. Or like they're like, they deny the slavery part of it. And I'm just trying to like be that, try to share to them like it's nothing wrong with what happened. You know, we're not slaves anymore. Yeah, I get that, but you have to acknowledge it and understand that there's nothing shameful about that. And and I feel like knowing my identity and knowing where my people came from, and that helps me find more beauty within myself, because I understand my roots. I understand my purpose of being here as well. So I think that's like the beauty part of it. And then also that like what we added to the culture, right? Because we shared what we knew within the community, and we created something. So
okay, cool. So if you could give 3 tips for people who are wanting to discover more of their identity through like creativity and art, what would that be?
One is definitely research. Like really try to like understand where you're like for me, my perspective, like where you come from, like why how do you say it? Okay, maybe say that again. Okay, so first is definitely research. I've shared a video the other day, I don't know if you saw, of Victoria Santa Cruz, who was an activist, an Afro-Peruvian woman activist, and I didn't know that she existed, and she only died in like 2010, and I'm like I could have met her. So just like knowing that there are also knowing that there are people who came before you, who's using art to express their position in the world, so that you kind of have that reference, and to know that not only are you not alone, but that someone else was using this specific medium to make a statement is very important. Second is always make sure you're speaking your truth. Like, if you're ever feeling sad, or if you're feeling happy, or you see something that just makes you feel emotional, write that down, sketch an image of it, so that you have that, whenever you're creating something, you can go to it and use that as material. My third point is As a beauty specifically, just always make the intention to look at yourself as art. Just like if you need to like walk around in your bra and underwear and just do different positions, take pictures, and maybe draw that out or tell a story, or that's what I do sometimes. Like I like walking around in my bra and underwear and just seeing the shape of my body and trying to.
Who are interested in getting in contact with you to find more of your artwork or just to contact you directly, how can they do that?
The best way right now is on Instagram. Instagram handle is Magda Falcon, MagdaFalcn. Yeah, that's the best way.
Yay. Okay, thank you so much for sharing. I'm gonna make sure to link the video that you sent me in this video so folks can watch that. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanya.
I'm so excited about that.